Hello, my name is William Wind. I served in the United States Navy from July 1990 to April 1995.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wind. I appreciate you making the trip out here to shoot this interview. I'm looking forward to hearing your story. My first question for you is going to have to be, how did you join the military?
That was a funny story. First of all, I was supposed to just go with my friend from high school. He was asking me to take him to the recruiters here in Shawnee. When we got there, ended up having the recruiters look at me and ask me to take the test. So after I took the test, they told me I had made a pretty good score to where I can do anything except for in the nuclear field. I tried a hospital corpsman. I thought, hospital, it's clean, I wouldn't see anything, but it was different. It was completely different than what I thought it was gonna be. They did give me 2 chances to change my mind. One's at the MEP station, and the last one was just before I signed in. They come up and ask you, say, well, you got one, this is your last chance to try to get away. And you legally could leave at that time, but once you sign your name after that, you're theirs.
Where did you go with the Marines?
With them, I got to go with them to Somalia. We were there for a thing called Operation Restore Hope. We were there just to try to keep at that time, the warlords from getting all the rice and beans and all the stuff, the food that they had, and they were using it using it with the people and getting them to take the people.
So with your time there, what's some funny stories you had? Oh,
well, on the time there, we were out on patrol. We went across a village, and at that time they were just sitting there, beating on drums. And when we come up, when we got there, of course, one of the Marines that I was with, he jumped out and he just heard the beat, and he just got with it and just started dancing and was going. Little did he know that he started getting a train behind him. After the music was over, he had found out that that girl had picked him to be her husband. Yeah, it was a ritual dance that said she was of age, and it was an eligible bachelor dance is kind of what it was. And he was out there with them, and she picked him. Another story I could say that I had was whenever we was in a feed line. We were there to keep people from cutting, keeping an orderly line through. One time we had a line was halfway through. The people were starting to line up again, and I thought, well, we had to start watching people. And then after the last person went through, me and the guy that we were talking with, me and him were talking, and we wasn't paying attention to what our sergeant was saying. Little did we know that he started to send people through again, and we had one guy come flying through, and my reaction, the first thing was I just reached through, grabbed him whenever he went on through. And then I just, pulled him back. He too hit the ground, rolled, and jumped up and said, oh, blah, blah, click, click. And then he said, pointing up there, and I turned around and looked, and my sergeant was sitting there, and he said, send him through again. So he was wanting to be the first one, and I threw him out of line.
I've seen the Black Hawk Down movie, and that's in Somalia. How did that movie reflect on what you experienced?
It's I would say it's pretty spot on. You would never thought that somebody would be able to treat somebody that way, and and it's common. I knew how it felt to be the person on your left and the person on your right is how you're getting home. And that the person on your left, that if he doesn't do your job, we ain't gonna make it home.
How'd you go home?
That's a sentimental story to me. When we was leaving, they told us after like the 2 or 3 times telling us that we're gonna get on the plane, but they didn't let us. After the 3rd time getting on the plane, when we were going, I can remember the tail end of that plane. As soon as that tail end of that plane dropped, and we took off straight up into the air, I would say out of that whole plane, man, only persons that wasn't crying, being glad to get away from that place, was probably the pilot and the stewardess, They probably thought we were crazy, because there wasn't a dry eye in there.
You mentioned that you were in the Honor Guard. What is that?
Okay, I'm with the Muskogee Nation Honor Guard out of Okmulgee, and with that we do burial rites. It's a voluntary group that we come and do. Like I said, we come and do all the veterans. Doesn't matter what tribe, as long as they get a hold of us and we have the bodies to go.
Well, Mr. Wind, I believe that's all the time we have today. Again, I would like to thank you for letting me hear some of your stories.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to allow me to tell you some of the stories. I wish I would have been able to tell you a little bit more.